This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask with your host, Dr. Judith Briles, on the Rockstar Radio Network. On the show today, you'll find out where book publishing is going and how to take advantage of it, how to identify and avoid publishing predators, what opportunities are emerging as the book trade evolves in new forms, how to avoid losing money, and much, much more. Join us now as a variety of publishing pros will deliver insights and strategies to take the author to the next level of publishing. It's your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. Brought to you by Author U and the Book Shepherd on the Rockstar Radio Network. And now, here's your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
Well, top of the day to everyone, and I guess it's a good book day in the global world and what's happening. And book sales, this is, as you know, we're here toward the end of September. Our last broadcast for September, but here's what's exciting about September: it leads into October. And October, contrary to a lot of what people believe, October is the number one book sales opportunity month out here. So as we develop our books, and actually we've come back after summer, we're into the first full week of fall, and you certainly can feel it, that you have to really start looking at, okay, where are we going with this? How are we going to either create our book, which is we're going to be talking about a lot today, but also strategies on where do we go with getting the demand out there. And for those of you who are listening thinking, oh yeah, my book is perfect, just perfect for holiday sales, if your idea was to go into a store, like a regular brick and mortar store to sell your books, it's not going to happen now, with few exceptions. If you've got a Rockstar gift book, and I will share this with you, I'm so excited about my new book that I just got the final proofs of today. I signed them off. We went through it. We dropped everything. And here's one of the rules, dear author, you need to understand. When you get your galleys and your proof copies in from a printer, you clear the decks. I don't care what's on your calendar, clear the deck, because you have to focus. You're going to deep dive. You're going to drill in. You're going to go through every freaking page looking for that one elusive typo, missing period, oddball comma, fill in the blank that you didn't catch last go around. I found mine on page 22. And my book, Snappy, Sassy, Salty, Wise Words for Authors and Writers, is going to be such a gem. I was so excited as I read through that, and it will be officially available November 1st through Amazon. You can pre-order it. It is the perfect gift for yourself, for anybody you know who's writing or authoring, and I would get an extra in there, but it's a gem. It's 4x6, very small. It's got the purple ribbon in it. It's got hardback. It's really a gorgeous little gift book. So I'm excited about that. So just wanted to say, make sure that you clear your decks when your book copy proofs come in, because this is all you need to do. And my goal always is to turn a book within 24 hours back to the printer. They give you a week. Let them know you're going to do it early. You're going to get it back, because that gets you queued up into the actual print process. And we knew the cover very quickly. We had it done. I gave them that okay in 5 minutes. And we went through and we had that one page of the PDF that had to be subbed in. And we were good to go. Within 5 hours, we were done. So that's my advice there. Well, here's what we're going to talk about today. I want to focus on primarily is crowdfunding. And there's book money out here in the clouds, which everyone was calling it cloud funding for a while. Now it's crowdfunding, but it doesn't matter to me. Crowds, it's money. And it's other people's money. And it's a gift. Now, in most cases, when someone gives you a gift, a monetary gift, there are no tax strings attached to it. And because this is still a little gray, 50 shades of gray out here, that most accountants, and I'm certainly coming from a financial background, I'm going to tell you, you claim this money, it's angel money. And it's gift money that comes in, and that you can use it for whatever you declare in the form of the crowdfunding methodism that you did. So let's talk about some of those areas of what it is, where you go. I'm going to be actually focusing on 3 of the general crowdfunding sites that are author friendly. There are over 1,000 platforms out here that you can reach out to gather monies through a vehicle of people you don't even know. You can guide people which you want to, who do know you and love you. It's work, and it is more extensive work than doing a full-blown Amazon bestseller campaign to doing a full-blown book launch. It is intensive, very aggressive side that needs to be incorporated on your part. So let's just talk about what this is. And it's where you can find the right crowd who will support your ideas, your concept, your ideas, or who love you, who follow you as a friend or an author, if you're already established out there, that they would be excited to be involved in whatever your next project is. Well-known authors like Seth Godin raised over $40,000 in just 4 hours through a Kickstarter.com campaign. Now, he's well-known out there, and he probably needs the money like he needs a hole in his head, but that's the way he did it. And crowdfunding campaigns, when you put them together, usually have what we call, in some cases they call them gifts, some places call them perks, some places call them rewards. And they are in allocations. For example, if someone gives you $10, they will get a hearty thank you from you via email. If someone gives you $15 or $20, they could get a postcard with your book cover on it. Maybe you sign across it and a hearty thank you. If someone gives you $25, they might get the ebook and a hearty thank you and a postcard. If someone gives you $50, they could get the ebook. They could get the book that is printed. If you do that way, they could get a hearty thank you and, of course, the postcard that is signed. And you keep going progressively up in the allocation. You will get a few people who like to just dabble because they like to throw $10 here and $5 there and those kind of things. You will get a few people that will come in on the very low edge. It's going to be very few. It's not going to be the bulk. You will get a lot more in the 25 area. The bulk that we see is going to be in that $50 to $75 to $100 that they will come in and support you. Now, one of the questions that comes up is that, do they have to give you the money right now? And the answer is, it's like a pledge. You know, think of the kid that goes around and they're raising money for their school. And if they do this activity, or maybe you've done a running for a group or a walkathon, and you walk so many miles and someone says, oh, I'll pledge 25 cents for every mile you walk. And then they get a bill. This is very similar. And most of them will use Amazon. And they have to have an Amazon account. So they pledge, let's say, $100 to your fabulous, worthwhile book project, and that goes up, and Amazon then notes that you are bona fide and legit, and it will go in and say that when the campaign's over or successful, whichever is declared, and we'll talk about that then your credit card, you don't send in a check, you don't send in cash, you don't send in a money order, your credit card, which, because they have you on the Amazon account because you buy stuff from them, will be charged, just like if you bought a book or some other item through Amazon. It will be charged at the time the campaign is over, and you will get notified that it goes through. So, and if you back out, you have to do that beforehand. Now, with that, there's no refunds, no returns. That what I want to say here is, I got up to $100. You can go to $250. You can go to $300. You can go to $500. You can have $1,000. You can have $1,500. You can have $2,000. One of my clients who I had on in an earlier show was a woman by the name of Diane Maroney. She did a beautiful, beautiful book that I'm thrilled to say published out into second printing, a book called The Imagine Project. You can go to Kickstarter.com, write in the search button, The Imagine Project, and you can watch her video. You can look over her little mini site that you all build and you put together. You can look at what her rewards are. You can look in what you have for the arena of how many people put in for 50, how many people put in for 25, how many people put in for 100. Like she had 48 people put in $100 each. She had several people put in $1,000, but she raised $22,000, a little bit over $22,000, and 22 was her goal. So one of the things I love to do in thinking unique, and think unique oddball perks, rewards that you give to people. For example, if you're a fiction author and you're not going to go through Kickstarter for fiction, I'll just say that offhand, but you can go through Pub Slush with a piece of cake. Most likely you go through Indiegogo with that. That if you are a fiction author, here's a perk I would strongly recommend. Name a character after somebody. And if you have a book that has a bad guy, a bad gal, a villain of any sort, put a higher value on it. Put $1,000, $1,500. And people love to be villains in them. And you may go to a restaurant. You may have a vendor or a sponsor out there that you're able to write a scene around this, and you can incorporate them in them. Well-known fiction authors like John Grisham routinely use the local of some of their locations and actually will pull out actual establishments. And I have been in places in New Orleans, for example, where they actually have displayed in windows John Grisham's books. All right, when we come back, we're going to get a little bit more. We're going to deep dive into this of how to go about doing it. What's the cost? I'm Judith Briles, and you're listening to Your Guide to Book Publishing. It's all about crowdfunding for authors for more work.
This is Your Guide to Book Publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these on the Rockstar Radio Network.
Is there a book in you or another? Author U will show you how to create, develop, and publish your book without being hoodwinked. If you already have a book out, you'll find a supportive and brainstorming community that's connected and creative no matter where you live. Author U brings in national experts for its book camps and annual author extravaganza held each May. It has regular meetings and delivers webinars for its members on timely topics. Through Author U's extensive network, members enjoy exclusive benefits, including significant discounts for a variety of services necessary to publishing. The Resource, its online book publishing news magazine, is content-heavy and it's free. If you want to create a book that has pizzazz, punch, and panache, Author U is for you. If you're a hobbyist or a casual author, it's not. Join Author U today through its website at authoru.org. Follow Author U on Twitter at Author U and on Facebook at Author U, where timely author and publishing tips and articles are posted daily. Author U, where the author goes to become seriously successful.
Do you sell stuff? Do you want to sell books? Lots of them? If yes, you must take credit cards, the most widely used form of payment today. The Free Terminal has created a special program for Your Guide to Book Publishing listeners. No contract, all equipment is free, extremely low rates, and no termination fees ever. Contact Alan Dean at alan@thefreeterminal.com or call him at 303-668-6828. The free terminal has handled all credit card transactions for both author you and Judith for over a year. Don't wait another day. Contact Alan at thefreeterminal.com or call 303-668-6828 and tell him you want the no contract author you deal.
Every picture tells a story. And it's a truism that people do judge a book by its cover. Nick Sellinger and NZ Graphics have been in the business of producing superior graphic cover design and interior layout for self-published authors, independent and traditional publishers for years. He has developed a reputation for excellent work, fast turnarounds, and best of all, affordable pricing. NZ Graphics also produces ebooks and book marketing materials such as posters, sell sheets, postcards, bookmarks, business cards, logos, and more. Books designed for his clients have won multiple book awards, including Best Book Award by U.S. Book News, multiple Evie Awards from the Colorado Independent Publishers Association, Indie Book Awards, the San Francisco Book Festival Award, and Freedom Medal Award from Valley Forge. Visit www.nzgraphics.com or call 303-985-4174 for more details about making your book the success it should be. Mention that you are an FOJ, friend of Judith's, and that you heard about NZ Graphics on your guide to book publishing.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask on the Rockstar Radio Network. If you want to write and publish a book, if you want to be successful as an author, your guide to book publishing, everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask, is for you. Stay tuned and you'll hear about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
Alrighty, so we're talking crowdfunding and we're talking rewards and some of those things. And here's what I want you to tune into. When you're thinking of rewards, it's very important that they have some type of comparable value. If somebody's going to give you $50, they don't want a probably hearty handshake or an email hello. So that's why you give a book, a signed book. But you may want to think as things go up, as I was mentioning characters, think about maybe there's an invitation to a private lunch. They come here. Maybe there's for my nonfiction listeners, that you can do a private webinar exclusively for them. And in those areas, so here's what I would recommend to you is make sure that you go to the key sites I referred to, Kickstarter.com, PubSlush, PubSlush, PubSlush.com, and Indie, INDIE, GoGo, GOGO, Indiegogo.com. And they all have tutorials. They all have examples, that you can go through and look at successful campaigns. The average campaign is around $5,000, but you can go as low as $500. You can go up to many thousands of dollars in that. But you've got to be sure is that it's a plan. You've got a business plan that you are going together at with that. So what's interesting here is that if you have a cause, just because they like the sound of what you're doing, they may just jump in. Or it may be it's people who have gadgets, who developing new companies, who have products, often seed them through Kickstarter or PubSlush, Indiegogo, fill-in-the-blank type campaigns into crowdfunding. And I should say that although this is for book publishing and the like, there's other things that you may, for example, if there's music's in your background, or there's a company called invested.in.com that likes that, or Syllaband, SELLABAND, band.com. But it's a huge magic wave that you can come across with in that, and it's a great way to raise some funds within a 30 to 40 day. You don't want your campaign to go over 40 days. 30 to 40 days. Some stats are that roughly whatever you have raised within the first 5 days, if you have met at least 20% of your overall goal, there is an 80% probability of you being successful in meeting your full campaign goal. So with that said, here's some of the mechanics. One, there is a donation, and they look at it as a donation. So if you give $100 to support the cause, they can't write it off because you're most likely not a nonprofit, a legitimate nonprofit, although you may feel as an author you're a nonprofit, but it's a gift to you. The pros are, it feels really good to give. And the social perks of joining a group that's supporting something, can't be really measured in bucks. The cons are, you could kiss off your $100. It may not be successful. The project could flop. And then the other thing is, and another option is, you can look at that pre-sales. What if you've really got this book going? You're really rolling along. You've got it going there. And this is where most of these authors will fall into this kind of group. So you pay $100 and you get a return. You get a book. You get a sales sheet. You get all those kind of things. You may get invitation for special discounts for services. For example, if I was to personally do one, I would probably reach out to some of the supporters of your Guide to Book Publishing and saying, hey, I'm going to do this. And would you be willing, if someone donates X amount, to give a discount or give this as a service, or, what can we talk about doing? I know that when I personally launched my book in the spring of April of 2013, Author U, Creating and Building Your Author and Book Platforms, I reached out to many of the people that I work with, vendors and supplies to authors, and they donated a total of $6,000 for my sweepstakes contest, one including $1,000 off on one of our printer sponsors for the show. Offered $1,000 off, and what was fun is I ended up knowing the person who was randomly picked by the robots and got it, and his book is actually, everything's done, and he got a free cover design, he got a huge discount on interior design, etc. So the pros are, you can end up getting some cool stuff here, and perks and services that you would have to pay hard cash for. The cons are, there may not be any instant gratification because you have to wait for your reward. And I do want to say this on rewards: when you set them up, don't say you're going to deliver them in a week. You need to give yourself a couple of months, at least 30 days minimum, to get things together, because it may not be printed yet, and that's going to take some time. And so think of that way. And as I said earlier, on the taxation side, is that consider this is taxable. You will declare it in that area. So let's talk again now. We'll transition to these key players that we have. I mentioned Kickstarter, and they are the granddaddy. There is over 1 million people who look over Kickstarter opportunities and options. When you look at Indiegogo and PubSlush, you're talking below 200,000 at a time. But remember, Kickstarter is for all and anything almost, where PubSlush is just books. Indiegogo is got a little bit of a mix, but they don't have some certain turn downs. So if they're not going to do, Kickstarter is not going to do most likely the fiction author. They're going to do someone who will that they can show in their write-up that they really make a difference, because they do review each one of these campaigns as they go along. Now, Kickstarter is what we call, it's an all or nothing campaign. It's fixed. If you say, I'm going to raise $10,000, I need $10,000, it's $10,000. And if you raise $9,998, you don't get anything. And by the way, if you get up to, you do a campaign and you get up to your goal very close, you start moving into that 1,000, 2,000 range, that you get out your own credit card and complete the funding so you can get the rest of the money and start putting it to work. on that. Or you may have a silent angel who's a friend, a colleague, a supporter who says, if you get up here, let me know, because I'll, push the amount over to get you there. And I know that I had a client of mine who did a campaign to raise $8,000. He ended up raising, I think, $8,800 for his book. Was on, it was a fiction type book, and it was for the YA, the young adult market, but he had a variation of it. It taught things about math. And he was a teacher coming into how to show unique ways to think differently in the education. And he was able to go through and use the Kickstarter program for that. So it's how your words are, how you write it up. If it sounds right, if it doesn't feel airy-fairy, they may come along and go ahead and support you. So the cost of Kickstarter and doing it in this all or nothing situation is that you say, I'm going to raise X amount of dollars. They say, okay, we won't give you a nickel unless you raise that amount or you go over it. That's a fixed side. There's also a thing called flexible. And when we look at Indiegogo and we look at PubSlush, they have both fixed and flexible. And that if you reach the fixed side on one of them, that, for example, on Indiegogo, they give you a bonus and actually reduce the overall cost. When you think of the cost of these areas, that Kickstarter will tell you, for example, they take 5% flat off. So if you're going to raise $10,000, $500 is going into their pocket at the time you're done raising your money. They don't get anything unless you're successful. Say that all of them, you've got to be successful. They'll take $500. Then, because you're running through Amazon, there's going to be another charge over here in this arena. Amazon has their own few percent charge. And roughly a Kickstarter campaign is going to cost you around 9% of the money. So you need to put that into your budget. That, okay, if I'm going to raise $10,000, I'm really not raising $10,000. I'm only going to get about $9,000 when I'm done. When you look at PubSlush, they're around 8%, as is Indiegogo. But Indiegogo comes in, they have a 4% fee plus 3% for credit card payments for 7%. But if you get the goal, you can get 3% back. We're going to have more. It's Judith Briles with your guide to publishing.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these on the Rockstar Radio Network.
Since 1987, Color House Graphics has set the standard for quality book production. Whether you decide to print a small quantity of books or need a large print run, depend on Color House to help you. You'll receive professional help and advice the moment you reach one of our representatives. If you mention hearing about us on your guide to book publishing with Judith Briles, we will provide you a discount on the first order you place. To speak with a project manager, call us toll-free at 800-454-1916 or visit us at www.colorhousegraphics.com.
When Ned Thompson and Harry Shore started Thompson Shore in 1972, they believed employees with great character would make up the best company. They were right. They hired people who were not only experts in bookmaking, but who were obsessed with quality and delivering exceptional customer service. Almost 40 years later, Thompson Shore remains a 100% employee-owned company. Ned and Harry knew that successful customer projects are a direct result of empowered employees. We specialize in all books for large and small publishers. Creating beautiful and well-made books, we're dedicated to pleasing our customers by making the experience a good one from start to finish. The personal touch we have with our customers allows us to be innovative in solving their most difficult challenges. Our platform also ensures that we can remain flexible to meet our customers' unique needs and expectations. Our marketing kit can create buzz for your title, enhancing the promotion of your book during infancy. When you need to test the market to gauge your future sales, we can provide digitally printed books that will transition seamlessly into a larger offset run. From ebook to hard copy to delivery, our skillful customer service teams are at the ready to answer your most pressing question. At Thompson Shore, we know that making the highest quality books requires more than just best technologies. It requires superior customer service, professionalism to the trade, and commitment to environmental and social values. With these standards of excellence in place, you can be sure that we will always help you put your best book forward.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask on the Rockstar Radio Network. Coming up, you'll hear more about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
Well, as we often do, we have one of our sponsors give us a tip and little tidbits at the bottom of the hour. And with us is Lori Perkins, who is with Total Printing Systems, one of our printers. Hi, Lori. How are you?
Hi, Judith. I'm doing fine. How are you?
Great. What fabulous tip do you have for us in working with printers today?
Well, I thought it would be interesting to talk about what an author should look for when they choose a printer, and then what makes that author stay with that printer.
Oh, great. So what are key things?
Okay, some of the key things for an author to look for, obviously, is going to be service. I always put that as number one, because service covers a pretty broad area. Price, quality, all that falls into that. But if you can have a good service, everything falls into place. So my first advice would be talk to a live person at that company and discuss if that's a good fit for what you need for your book as an author. Obviously, all authors have different needs, different criteria, and different levels of what's important to them. So I would say the very first step in choosing a printer is get a real person, a live person, whether a salesperson, customer service, somebody they can connect with and actually have discussions. And that person, if they're good, will listen to the author and see if that's a good fit for their book. So that would be
how much time?
The most important thing.
Yeah, Lori, my concern is, though, if you have 1,000 authors calling you in a day, you can't handle all those phone calls. I mean, how tightly, what kind of questions should they have ready to go when they make those kind of phone calls?
Okay, I would generalize. I would probably ask, what are your capabilities? What's your minimum print run? What's your maximum? And what are your binding methods? And start with that. Mm-hmm. Find out if you're going to do just perfect bound books, you want to make sure that printer, that's their niche, that they're going to do perfect bound books. If you're going to do, as an author, you're going to do 100 book runs, make sure that printer does that lower quantity, 100 book runs. So that would weed out a lot and zero in where it would be a better fit.
Okay. All right. What else should we know?
Okay. Well, I think that it's important for a printer, it's on the printer side, that when an author does call, that the person they speak to, and me as a salesperson, I can talk personal about this, that they're to be aware that there's all kinds of authors, and it's really important to listen to what they want and make sure that you're going to be able to give them what they need to create their book. It might be their lifelong dream to finish this book and hold it in their hand, and you're going to be the key person. So you make that connection with the author, you can go right through to where the book is produced, and they hold it in their hand, and there it is, the live stream. So I think it's really, really important. And I like to relate, like what maybe relate it to your favorite restaurant. What makes you want to go back to a particular restaurant? You know, everybody is different. Every person has different reasons why they do that. Every author has a different reason for what they're doing and how they want to get there. So I just think it's really, really important that you connect right on that personal level and help them with their needs.
Well, perfect. So it's service, it's ambiance, kind of, and it's the quality of the product. So in a restaurant, is using your example, is the dishes are to die for. And let me tell our listeners, one of the things I love about Total Printing is they really do specialize with some great short-run turnarounds. I have an email today from Liz, who is our contact person there when a project goes in for one of the clients. And Total Printing has done a tap dance in wonders with a book called The Ultimate Guide to Divorce. And that is and I didn't know if we were going to be able to do it because the author kept saying, oh my God, I need to change this. And oh my God, I need to change that. Because we had a hard, fast deadline. We needed some books in our hands no later than the 1st of October. And by God, they've got them bound and we are going to have them. So that's the cat's meow. The other thing I want to say, which is to give a hats off to Total Printing, is if you are going to be doing ARCs, or what we call advanced reader copies, no one does a better job in the quality in the presentation than what I've seen come out of Total Printing. And I'll tell you why it's important to have a good-looking ARC, and their prices are extraordinarily reasonable. And you want to have a good-looking ARC, and these are out for endorsements or reviews, and I'm seeing more authors do them. And the point is that when they look good, when the book feels good, then you are more inclined to be picked up for the review, and they pay attention to them versus something that looks kind of schlocky. So I just want to give you a hats off, Liz and your team. I mean, Liz is involved, but Lori and your team at Total Printing.
Thank you. I do appreciate that, and I have to agree with you 100%. Having only been with the company for 4 months, I have to say that the 100% customer-oriented team is there. And I think that is the most important. Everybody comes together, from sales to customer service to our production team to our shipping person, comes together, and it's all for the customer. And so that's really nice to hear that our ARCs are right up there.
Oh, no, they're the best I've seen. All right, Lori, thank you. Lori Perkins from Total Printing Systems, and we look forward to having you back in the future.
Thank you so much, Judith.
You're welcome. All right. So we were talking about costs for crowdfunding, and I was mentioning some of the costs for Indiegogo. So let me just break these down. I'm going to do a recap one more time. That you've got, if you're looking at Kickstarter, that it's going to come in roughly 9%. Kickstarter is taking 5%. You've got the credit card handling, and you've got Amazon in there. So it's going to come in for a total roughly of 9%. If you look at Indiegogo, that they take a 4% plea plus a 3% credit card for a total of 7%. If you choose to go to the flexible funding, so you're going to get whatever you want, and that means I really want to get 10,000, but you know, if I get 5,000, I'll take it and run. That's called flexible funding. So if you go for that, if you don't hit that 10,000 goal in that example, Indiegogo is going to increase the percentage they take to 9%, plus the 3% credit card for a total of 12%. And then if you reach the goal, then it's just flat, that 7%, and they come in. Now, PubSlush is 8%. So understand what the costs are before you go. Now, here's some of the essentials that are really important when you think of crowdfunding. First of all, no exceptions. You need a video. It doesn't have to be a professional video. If you've got an iPad, if you've got a tablet, you can make some killer little movies. And when you talk about this video, max is 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 90 seconds is even better. So you're introducing yourself, you're introducing your book, your concept, your idea, you want to let them know what you're going to do, why you need them, what the journey's about, so you get the buy-in. And remember, never forget this word, emotion. Emotion sells. You hook with emotion. So your video needs to have that pitch of your project. And one of the challenges I see authors go through day after day, when I ask them, what is your book about? It's like they all of a sudden glaze into their belly button. I don't know. Listen, be very succinct. You need to give what they call the elevator pitch. The book elevator pitch max is 30 seconds. Boy, if you can get out what your book is about, if you're a nonfiction writer, what pain you relieve, what you solve, what answers you deliver, bravo. For the fiction author, wherever you're going down the fiction lane, you've got to give me a comparison. So I know, boy, if I'm a fan of, like, I like thrillers, I like mystery. If you tell me that this is, if you're a fan of David Baldacci, if you're a fan of this, you have my attention. If you like the Dan Brown type of, you've got my attention. If you're a romance writer, if you're going to say, tie it into a well-known romance writer so they can get their mindset wrapped around who it is. So think that way in that. You have a video, you need to have a content in it. What's it about? A very short bio, and you're going to have to write these up. These are going to be also written up, content bio, your gifts, your rewards. You have to create, who's the gang that's going to support you? Your families, your friends, who want to see the Legs Get Started campaign. And by the way, 30% of your money is going to come from family and friends. And sometimes you're going to have to go back and say, I need more help. And by the way, when you create those rewards, have a few in your back pocket that you're going to add on so they're unique. Oh, for everyone who adds on another $50 to whatever they did, you're going to get this as a bonus. You want to set that time limit, 30 to 40 days, and it's absolutely imperative to communicate. You want to update your supporters on an ongoing basis, what's going on. This is not the time for you to gaze in your belly button. This is not the time for you to be shy. You've got to go back to all your own circles, your Twitter followers, your Facebook fans, people who are on your Pinterest boards. You want to go to LinkedIn. You want to let everybody know in your world, this is who you are. This is where you are. This is how I'm going about doing it, and I need your support.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these on the Rockstar Radio Network.
Do you sell stuff? Do you want to sell books? Lots of them? If yes, you must take credit cards, the most widely used form of payment today. The Free Terminal has created a special program for your guide to book publishing listeners. No contract, all equipment is free, extremely low rates, and no termination fees ever. Contact Alan Dean at alan@thefreeterminal.com or call him at 303-668-6828. The Free Terminal has handled all credit card transactions for both author you and Judith for over a year. Don't wait another day. Contact Alan at thefreeterminal.com or call 303-668-6828 and tell him you want the no contract author you deal.
The book shepherding concept is simple. The publishing world is changing, and so must you. You need an experienced shepherd and a guide to partner with you as you create, strategize, develop, publish, and achieve your publishing goals. You can't do it alone without paying the price. You can spend your money creating a book that turns out to be so-so, or you can create a book that looks and feels classy, builds your brand, and is a financial success, a bestseller. It's your choice. You choose. You need the book shepherd. Publishing is riddled with obstacles, sometimes nightmares for the author. You don't need problems, you want solutions. Dr. Judith Briles will shepherd you through the maze and the chaos. At times, she's had to step in and rescue a book that has been sabotaged by a publisher, or by a publishing service provider, or sometimes even the author themselves. Judith Briles is the book shepherd if you want to create a book with no regrets. Give her a call today, 303-885-2207. That's 303-885-2207, or email her at judith@briles.com. By the way, Briles is spelled B-R-I-L-E-S. Follow Judith on Twitter at MyBookShepherd and on Facebook at The Book Shepherd.
At Total Printing Systems, customer service is our priority. We are located in Southern Illinois. Our employees have an average of 18 years experience and know that customer relationships are important to our continued success. We have been a short-run book printer for nearly 40 years and always stay at the forefront of technology. Our niche is from 1 to 5,000 copies. Today, we offer digital, black and white, and 4-color high-speed inkjet printing, a cost-effective way to introduce color into your short-run titles. We, of course, offer traditional offset printing as well. Bindery is done in-house, from adhesive case binding to PUR perfect binding to mechanical binding of all types, including side sewing. We provide warehousing, kitting, distribution, inventory management, a new print-on-demand facility, streaming browser-based ebooks, and bookstore. Call us at 1-800-465-5200 for a quote on your next book project. You can also visit our website at www.tps1.com.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask on the Rockstar Radio Network. If you want to write and publish a book, if you want to be successful as an author, your guide to book publishing, everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask, is for you. Stay tuned and you'll hear about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
The final things, I want to go through these essentials for crowdfunding, and that we want to look at your the pitch video. So let's recap that. 1, make it short, 1 to 3 minutes. You should be the star. You are the star. Make it personal. You may have outclips in it depending upon the nature of your book, but you're the star. Give contributors a sneak peek of your book project and what you're going to be doing with the monies, always. Consider using a little music in the background. It helps set a tone for the campaign. Make sure that it's clear and concise. And call out, really call out to them for the spirit of collaboration in that. And then at the very end, please, or even maybe I would do it in the middle, and then toward the end, have your calls of action. Call of action, what you want them to do. Don't leave people hanging. Now, on your written pitch, because you're going to have that within it, make sure that there is the important story information first. Explain why you're doing the fundraising. Write it up about yourself. Your guide with the video as well as the written side is to build trust. Build trust. And make sure on this written part your spelling is accurate, your punctuation is clear. Break long text sections into sections with headings. Drop some images in. Make sure that it's visual with that. And make sure you use a small campaign image so that your image is relevant to the campaign. Whatever you do, you want to have it tied in. It's synergistic, and it's there. Now, for your perks. Make sure that your perk names and descriptions are very clear. Consider the value of each and make sure you can fulfill those perks and still complete your project. Have everything from, a $10 thank you to the $1,000 plus, helicopter ride type of thing, but you're not giving helicopter rides. Make sure that you have a sense of call of urgency for where they go to and relate to the length of your campaign, and make sure that you're right about, that they're early birds and this is a limited edition and they're exclusive to be involved in that. And make sure that I would have that everyone's going to be thanked at a certain level and you're going to include their name and a special acknowledgement within the book.
on that. People love hearing that. You might be reasonable with your perk prices. So, I mentioned this earlier, but if you offer a T-shirt for someone who puts $500 in a mug, it's not going to do it. So make sure that it's indicative at that level. If you're running a flexible funding campaign like through Indiegogo and PubSlush, keep in mind the perk fulfillment in the event that you don't hit your goal. So if you're offering big stuff, or anything that you're offering all these things and you don't hit the goal, can you afford to do that? Make sure you tie that in. Add pictures of your perks on the pitch text. That's a good idea. And remember, you're usually limited to a maximum number of perks each time. So each site, each crowdfunding sponsor is going to have how many they allow. So make sure you read that. Make sure you have links to Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google+, and any other of the social items that you do. And I think it's a great idea to record what's happening. So if you have something like Instagram, you can take pictures as the campaign builds and you can put them out on your networks. You want to make sure that you are reporting what's happening on your Twitter chats. And ask for people to retweet. And by the way, when you put out a tweet, and anything on a tweet, and you have that on there, ask people to retweet. Say, please, and spell out please retweet. It's always smart to keep your Twitter stream in the 120-character area so people can retweet because their handle is going to go in there too. Make sure that Facebook gives you a little more space to add in more information. You can add, your images in there, as well as Google+. LinkedIn, if you've got a great business book, LinkedIn is a great area. If you're in a group or you're running a group, let your followers know about that. And, Pinterest, create a board for your book. Create a board for your campaign of what's going on. And so you build that vision in your brand. Now, lastly, let's talk about this final push, the momentum. So as you go along, you want to add new perks throughout your campaign. Crowdfunding groups have shown that over 20% of repeat contributions, meaning that they contribute once and then they're now going to add on to that amount, are for perks that were added after the campaign went live. So remember I said keep a few in your back pocket so you can add in two-thirds away. Wait, there's more, those commercials. You want to create a referral contest. Maybe anyone at PubSlush or Indiegogo or Kickstarter Q's who refers the most contributors to your campaign gets a special prize. Make it really hot. And again, as I said, you want to post these updates of what's going on, about the perks. Post if you've got a contest going, how things are going, and you can make it a wacky contest. Heck, if you have a cookbook that you're creating, how about creating a contest for the biggest mess in the kitchen you've ever made, or the greatest hat, or the greatest contest, or some party you put on. Make sure you post once or twice a week during your campaign because they tend to start dragging halfway through it. So that's when you need to pick it up. That's when you need your dancing shoes on to engage your followers. You're going to reach out to everyone. Come on, help me, and move like that. You got to hang in there. And then one more thing. If you aren't using a specific crowdfunding platform, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't pay attention to their success blogs. Subscribe to them, read them, you get ideas. I've got one friend who actually we had her on last week on the show, Beth Zenas, who did Your Inner Nerd, Discover Your Inner Nerd, that she decided not to do it through one of the traditional platforms. She did her own platform, and she actually pre-sold, listen to this, 600 books. So you can do it. Crowdfunding is a great resource. It is free money. You don't have to pay it back. You do have to declare it on your taxes, but that's a small token to pay. And it's one way that you can put together, raise the money, whether it's for your bookmarking side, whether it's for the production side, whether it's for a research side, but it's for your book. Get it, and you can do amazing and awesome things in that process on it. And it's worked for several of my clients. As I said, I had a young adult raised that way. Right now I'm working on a biography of an extraordinary, eccentric, unusual woman here in the Colorado area where I reside. I've had the Imagine project that Diane Maroney did that I did some advising on. and putting together, and she created a beautiful coffee table book that went right out. So
Everything you want
you
to
can
know
do
but
it.
Didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith
We'll see you
Briles.